Billy Connolly agrees that Rafferty had different priorities. He said, I wanted success and fame, and I got it to a degree. Gerry wanted respect. He wanted
Mm.
his talent to be respected. He wanted his songs to be respected, and he certainly got that.
Hey, everybody out there. Welcome back to another episode of the Audiophiles. Andy and John here as usual, and we are going to dig into some music. So, John, what do you have in store for us today? What will I be listening to?
So the artist is Gerry Rafferty.
Okay.
Are you familiar with him?
Vague, like I know maybe a couple of his tracks. The one that comes to mind is Baker Street, right? Yes, I know Baker Street. It's a jam. That's a good song. Um, And I'm pretty sure there have to be other, you know me and names. You put it on, I'll be like, yep, I know that track. But that's the one that definitely comes to mind. But outside of that and maybe a couple others, like I mentioned, I'm not really familiar with much of his stuff.
Okay, fair enough. Well, this is a track called Night Owl.
Night Owl. All right. Um, cool. Got everything I need. And some expectation going into this, given I know a little bit of this artist stuff. So let me go give this a spin, and I'll come back and let you know my thoughts. Oh, this guitar has got the one guitar has this really interesting effect on it. I don't know if it's like some sort of flanger or chorusy type thing, but it sounds really interesting. And I also just love this groove in general. It just, feels good. I don't know. It's got movement to it, and I think I appreciate that. So let's just start this over again and kind of let that wash over me again. Those percussions are really nice too. Ticka 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 ticka. Yeah, they're persistent back there. I like it. This song definitely has sort of that mid to late 70s mixture of like a classic rock sound that kind of led up to this, but also this, and I don't mean this to be negative, but it could sound fabulous, this style of music, and I've got plenty on my list of really, favorite songs or songs that I at least really like that are that have this sound or take from this too. But it's this safe middle of the roady kind of sound, mixed with a little bit of that classic rock sound, and this is all making for a very cleaned up sound. And that's always good. I mean, we like the dirty, grimy stuff that's got low production and lo-fi, but there's also always room at the table for songs like this that are just really well done and put together, and the song feel. I mean, listening to this after Rat Time and just holding them up against one another, there's a clear difference in sound, right? And this is a little bit more buttoned up, and that's fine.
Down the street, the neon light shines, offering refuge and hope to the blind. You stumble
He gets a little lonely when the sun gets low.
And I end up looking for somewhere to go. Yes, I should know better, but I can't say no. Oh, no, no, no.
His percussions are lovely.
The lights are low and the music is loud. You watch yourself as you play to the crowd.
Oh,
One more face in a palace of mirrors. One more.
okay. So this this sounds like somebody who is struggling maybe with alcoholism, or something to do with themselves. Obviously, all these things these illustrated are happening in the evening. In this case, it sounds like he's at like a gentleman's club or like a strip club. You know what I mean? Because he's there, clearly watching somebody who has an audience. Also, this illusion, like playing to the crowd, and this palace of mirrors. From everything I've been told, and the not from personal experience, I've come to find, or again, discover through learning, that strip clubs will have a lot of mirrors in them from time to time, and he's obviously drinking as well. So, yeah, it just sounds like he's fighting these vices that keep him up at night. Thus the title. Okay, so this is kind of making more sense. All right, let's see where we go from here.
Drink, you're sailing away. One more dream, but it's looking okay. One more time to watch the flow of the river.
To watch the flow of the river, huh?
Yes, I get a little lonely when the sun gets low. And I end up looking for somewhere to go. Yes, I should know better.
That tinny guitar is lovely.
Say no.
Simple but nice. It's like a woodwind. That sounds too low to be a flute. I don't know. Electric clarinet or something? I don't know. But it's interesting. I didn't imagine that would happen, or that would be featured. But it sounded really lovely. That bass.
Yes, I get along
That's pretty.
when the sun gets low. And I end up looking for somewhere to go. Yes, I should know better, but I can't say no.
You should know better, Jerry. I like this part every time.
You've seen it all, yeah, you've seen it before. Like a fool, you always come back for more. You live your life like there was no more tomorrow.
All right, so it's like you've seen it all, you've seen it before, and yet you keep coming back for more. You keep living like there's no tomorrow. Yeah, it's like, dude, every day's cut and paste. You've seen and done all of these things, and now it's a habit to the point where it's part of what defines you and your routine. And by the way, it's not healthy for you. We're not going to last long if you just keep going out and getting shit-faced every night because you're lonely. Find a better way to grapple with that. Yeah, okay, all right. Night owl.
Night comes down and finds you alone
It's like synthy stuff happening in there too. Bam, bam, bam. Ah, our old reed instrument friend is back. Yeah, Baker Street. Nice little fade out. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I'm kind of glad this, you know, sake of candor, this isn't something that I would have actively looked for and sought out. Which is kind of a shame because like Baker Street is a fucking tune, man. It really is. I love the original. I love the Foo Fighters cover of it. It's just a really, really good song. So obviously, he's probably had a few others beside it in his oeuvre that are really good as well. And I've just kind of put it off because this isn't like, of all the subgenres of rock and roll, this isn't one of the first ones that I'd flock to. But like I said in the early goings of this reaction, like there are songs in this genre that I adore. So I'm glad that John gave me this and gave me a chance to. Now, I don't like this as much as Bakersfield, or I don't like it as much as it, but I really, really do. You know, I think it doesn't hold up to Baker Street, but it's good. You know, it's a great tune. That the effective guitars on this was great. The work of the percussions, whether they're auxiliary or mounted on the set proper, I don't know, but that ticka 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 ticka, lovely sounding. The bass would feature every now and again and add these little low bits, and whatever the hell that flute was sounded fabulous. And it's, you know, this is a subject matter that's been touched on in plenty of songs before, you know, people and their vices. But this is a really great example of it, and it sounded really, really good to me. So yeah, I really enjoyed this track, and I'm kind of kicking myself for not having gone off and listening to more of Mr. Rafferty's work. But again, I'm really appreciative of John throwing me this to kind of force my hand on expanding my Rafferty horizons, if you will. So I'm you know what? There's probably others tracks that is by this gentleman that are just as good, if not better than this, that I should also give a listen to. So maybe this will be the impetus to go off and do just that. And I'm sure John will tell me or point me in the right direction when we go back and chat this up. So let's do just that.
Monty Panesar is back. So you've had listened to A Night Owl by Gerry Rafferty. Tell me what you think.
All right. So that it begins with one quick hit of the drum, I believe, and then it's right into the beat. And the guitar's kicking off with this pretty, not quite, but almost sweeping effect on the chord strumming. And the drums utilize a bit of this shuffling beat, though it's in no way plotting or anything. It's just like each strike barely leaves the drum head, like someone's shoe barely leaving the ground with each step. The second guitar has this hollow, slightly tinny affectation to its sound, which is really which really distinguishes it from the other guitar. And I really like that tone too. There's something about that sound that I'm really enjoying. And around the 13-second mark, it chirps out this very odd but interesting sound of like the string being plucked. But again, this effect gives that higher string pluck a very original sound, which I totally find intriguing. Uh, I'm not sure if these drums are mounted or part of the kit proper, or if these are like auxiliary percussions. But I keep hearing deep in the mix some sort of like tick 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 tick, kind of like rapping upon some sort of drum surface, and I'm loving that as well. There's some more pronounced chord strums that herald in the beginning of the first proper verse, just before Mr. Rafferty's voice joins the party. And now that he's joined, the song has taken a very, not that it didn't have shades of this before, but it just sort of cements this kind of mid to late 70s sound, kind of a cocktail, and this is in no way a pejorative, but it's this cocktail of like classic rock and this sort of middle of the road safe rock sound to it. Now, there's an endless amount of songs that fit that description that I fucking adore. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's just that's kind of the sound that was going on at this time over here, probably to some extent in the UK as well, I would imagine. But it was certainly prevalent here, and it had me thinking of sort of that next evolution in the classic rock, or what we know as classic rock, into this next kind of existence or branching of the rock tree there. So there is this point where Rafferty begins singing in this soft and gentle, though not in it's in no way meek, this delivery, and he sings of night falling and being alone in this space with all this time on your own, and being lost in dreams, I think is something that he mentions. He then continues on singing of neon lights shining down the street, and how they offer refuge and hope to the blind, which is an interesting proposition, this idea of lights offering anything to the sightless. But I don't think he literally means blind in this case. More of that great percussion work shines for a moment before these this, I don't know if it's chorus or flanger soaked chords kind of gently but instantly or pardon me intently kind of strum along to the pace of the song. And the next stanza of lyrics are the best thus far at sort of underscoring the trials and tribulations of a true night owl. As he sings of getting lonely when the sun gets low, as he, looks for somewhere to go. And though he should know better, he finds it difficult to say no. Oh, Gerry, where exactly are you headed at this point? A few oh no no's later, and he sort of helps to answer that question about where he's going. Given the scenes his lyrics paint in the next stanza, it sounds like our narrator has found himself sinking into a drink or several at what I interpret to be his local gentleman's club, with the allusions to Muzak and the object of his attention watching themselves whilst playing to the crowd, as he describes himself as just another, face in this palace of mirrors, which to me, and from everything that I've heard, and the tales that I've heard spun about Gentlemen's Club, is that they oftentimes have mirrors in them. I would have no idea, but that's what I hear. And again, in between stanzas, we get a bit more of that lovely percussion work and the guitar that always accompanies it. The next stanza I've affectionately dubbed the one more stanza, as each line begins with those words, and oftentimes those words precede a lie you either tell yourself or those who care about you. But in this case, he sings, "One more drink, you're sailing away. One more dream, but it's looking okay. One more time to watch the flow of the river." Interesting. I don't know if that's literal or if there's this metaphorical river that he's alluding to here. We get treated to another chorus, which gives way to a bridge-like portion that features some sort of woodwind instrument playing this very pretty motif whilst I think I catch some odd bit of synthy sound effects that are kind of happening in the background as well, obviously along with the rest of the usual suspects. Bookending this bit of music is yet another chorus. Um, the next bit of the verse comes equipped with more self-reflection as he sings seemingly to himself about having seen it before and like a fool coming back for more and living like there's no tomorrow. And interestingly, he followed this stanza with repeating the very first stanza of the track, likely underscoring the cyclicality of it all. What I just mentioned, those lies that he told himself or whomever, is because he was just simply going to fall back into this trap. So this is really clever for him to recycle this stanza to underscore, this sort of unbroken chain of behavior that he is in the throes of. We get another chorus and series of oh no no's. And though these have just a tad more fervor to them, which is likely warranted at this point in the song, you're if you're forced to repeat yourself several times, you might as well do it more passionately, and here we are. And again, we get treated to another bit of solo work by that very interesting sounding reed instrument, or this facsimile kind of synthesized version of it. I'm not really sure what's going on there, but it's an interesting sound to say the least. So that's going on. More of that synth stuff is happening in the background that I can't quite put my finger on. And this continues until the song fades to silence. So I gotta say, as wildly talented as Mr. Rafferty is, and those who occupy this sort of genre, it's not one that I normally flock to. But that's not really fair for me to not, because on occasion when I do, I end up enjoying what I hear. And Baker Street's a fucking tune. So it should really come to no surprise to me that I would enjoy this as well. Now, perhaps not as much as Baker Street, but this is still a really, really good song, which I think at one point in my reaction, I almost referred to it as Bakersfield. I don't know why I had California on the mind. But it's a really good song. And this was, proof that, this guy can write, and I'm sure has written several really great tracks that sort of occupy this subgenre of rock and roll. So there were times where like it bordered on feeling a little hokey in its packaging. But there was really great musical choices throughout the track, and also some really great lyricism and storytelling. So there are far more great things about this track than there are these little hairs that I could split. That frankly, if this wasn't a reaction channel, wouldn't even be worth splitting. But it's just an honest observation. So overall, I really, really did like this song a lot, and it's kind of opened my eyes to like the idea that I should probably check out more from this guy. I mean, I've heard other artists cover his music, and I've enjoyed the covers as well as I have obviously the original. So tell me more about him, this track, the album on which it features, and some other tracks that I may be familiar with that I am not even cognizant of at this point. So
Yeah, you will know some of his stuff anyway. Okay, there's quite a bit to go through. There's a bit of a story to this, so I will just crack on. So Gerry Rafferty was born in 1947 to a working class family of Irish Catholic origin, and he was born in Paisley, which is in Scotland, the son and grandson of coal miners. His Irish-born father was an alcoholic.
Aye.
Put a pin in that. He was a miner and also a lorry driver who died when Rafferty was 16. Rafferty learned both Irish and Scottish folk songs as a boy. And he recalled, my father was Irish, so growing up in Paisley, I was hearing a whole lot of a suite of traditional Irish and Scottish songs. It was heavily influenced by folk music and the music of the Beatles and of Bob Dylan. And so he started to write his own material. Did some stuff. In 1969, he became the third member of a folk pop group called the Humble Bums, along with comedian Billy Connolly. And Tam Harvey. Harvey left shortly afterwards, and Rafferty and Connolly continued as a duo, recording a couple of albums. and a 1970 appearance at the Royal Festival Hall supporting the band Fotheringay and also the artist Nick Drake. They earned a positive review from a critic who noted that all three acts showed promise rather than fulfillment, and observed that Gerry Rafferty's songs have the sweet tenderness of Paul McCartney in his Yesterday mood. The duo separated in 71, and Transatlantic Records signed Rafferty as a solo performer. He brought out his first album, Can I Have My Money Back?, which was praised and did not enjoy any commercial success whatsoever. According to Rafferty's daughter, Martha, it was around this time that Gerry Rafferty discovered by chance Colin Wilson's classic book, The Outsider, which is all about alienation and creativity. It became a huge influence on both his songwriting and his outlook on the world. She said the ideas and references contained in that one book were sustained and inspiring for the rest of his life. And Rafferty confirmed later that alienation was a persistent theme of his songs.
Yeah, you definitely put up here for sure.
He then joined Joe Egan, and together they formed Steelers Wheel, and recorded 3 albums with the American songwriter and producers Lieber and Stoller. And the group, unfortunately, was beset with legal wranglings. But they had a huge hit with Stuck in the Middle with You, which earned critical and commercial success. 20 years later, the song was used prominently in the 1992 movie Reservoir Dogs. Rafferty refused to grant permission for its re-release. So although it was on the soundtrack, it wasn't then released as a separate entity, and it would have gone in charted and earned him a load more money. Steelers Wheel disbanded in 75, but because of all these legal wrangles and issues, it meant it was 3 years before Rafferty was able to release any new material himself. After the disputes were resolved in 78, he recorded his second solo album, City to City, which included the song which he is most famous for, Baker Street. That's the album. Is that? Just a note on that. So, according to producer Hugh Murphy, he and Rafferty had to beg the record label, United Artists, to release Baker Street as a single. In quotes, they actually said it was too good for the public. The single reached number 3 in the UK, number 2 in the US, but is ubiquitous. The album City City sold over 5.5 million copies. It toppled the soundtrack to Saturday Night Fever from the top of the Billboard 200 album charts in the US in July 78. Just a side note, that was the first album I ever bought. Soundtrack to on double cassette.
How about it?
Rafferty considered this his first proper taste success, as he told Melody Maker the following year. All the records I've ever done before have been flops. Steelers Wheel was a flop. Can I Have My Money Back was a flop. The Humble Bums were a flop. My life doesn't stand or fall by the amount of people who buy my records. Just a note on Baker Street, it remains a mainstay of soft rock radio airplay. In October 2010, it was recognised by the BMI for surpassing 5 million plays worldwide. Stuck in the Middle of You has received over 4 million plays worldwide, and right down the line, one of his songs, 3 million. In 2003 interview with the Sun Scotland, Rafferty commented how profitable his biggest song has been. Baker Street still makes me about £80,000 a year.
Wow.
It's been a huge earner for me. I must admit, I can live off that song alone. The lyrics from Baker Street reflected Rafferty's disenchantment with certain elements of the music industry. And this was elaborated by music journalist Paul Gavaccini for BBC World News, who said, in quotes, his song Baker Street was about how uncomfortable he felt in the star system. And what do you know? It was a giant world hit. The album City to City went to number 1 in America, and suddenly he found that as a result of his protest, he was a bigger star than ever. And he now had more of what he didn't like. Although he had a few more hit singles in the States, by 1980, it was basically all over. When I say it, I mean his career, because he was just not comfortable with this. So after this, the following year, Night Owl, 1979, his third album. People who played on the album, Gerry Rafferty, vocals, acoustic guitar on this track, Polly Moog on this track, acoustic piano, I meant to say acoustic piano, string arrangements. Graham Prescott, acoustic piano, electric piano on this track, string synthesizer on this track, keyboards, fiddles, mandolin, string arrangements, string scoring, and conductor. Pete Wingfield, organ, Tommy Iyer, acoustic piano, electric piano, synthesizers, John Kirkpatrick, accordion, Richard Brunton, electric guitar, lap steel guitar, acoustic guitar, Hugh Burns, electric guitar, Richard Thompson, mandolin, electric guitars, Mo Foster, bass, Liam Ganocki, drums, Frank Ricotti, percussion, Raphael Ravenscroft, lychricon and saxophone. And saxophone. So a lychricon is an early electronic wind instrument created in the 70s by Bill Bernardi and Computone Incorporated. It functions as a wind controller that uses the player's breath, lips, and fingers to control an analog synthesizer, producing a wide range of sounds that can mimic traditional wind instruments or create entirely new ones. The Lyvricon is notable for being one of the first wind controllers and being used by musicians like Tom Scott on Michael Jackson's Billie Jean.
Oh, wow.
So in the middle of Billie Jean, there's this weird, almost like cartooning. That's a lychricon.
Okay.
And the solo in this song is lychricon.
There you go. Right.
Richard Harvey, penny whistle, pipe organ, penny whistle. It's a bit of a contrast, isn't it? Recorder, synthesizers, Gavin Wright, string leader, Betsy Cook, backing vocals, Barbara Dixon, backing vocals. People in the UK who watch the Two Runners will know who she is. And Linda Thompson, Richard Thompson's wife, backing vocals as well. So what? No, not quite performing as well as City to City. Night Owl still achieved platinum status in Canada and gold status in UK and the US. And this song you listen to, the title song, reached number 5 in the UK charts, and the album was top 10 in the UK album charts. The song Night Owl obviously discussed the themes of alcohol abuse, including autobiographical reflections delivered in the second person. So you do this, you do that, is me. It has been described by Rafferty's estate as a memorable top 30 melody with a pitiless self-portrait of an artist using alcohol to blur the edges of a world in which what is real and valuable is sometimes effusive. So the lyrics: night comes down and finds you alone in a space and time of your own, lost in dreams in a world full of shadows. Down the street, the neon light shines, offering refuge to the hope and hope to the blind who stumble in with no thought of tomorrow. Yes, I get lonely when the sun goes down, and I end up looking for somewhere to go. Yes, I should know better, but I can't say no. Oh, no, 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 no. The lights are low and the music is loud. You watch yourself as you play to the crowd. One more face in a palace of mirrors. One more drink you're sailing away. One more dream, but it's looking okay. One more time to watch the flow of the river. Yes, I get a little lonely when the sun gets low and I end up looking for somewhere to go. Yes, I should know better, but I can't say no. Oh, no, 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 no. Ooh. Lychricon solo, etc. Yes, I get a little lonely when the sun goes down. I end up looking for somewhere to go, but I should know better, but I can't say no or no, no, no. You've seen it all. You've seen it before. Like a fool, you always come back for more. You live your life like there's no more tomorrow. Night comes down and finds you alone in a space and time of your own, lost in dreams in a world full of shadows. Yes, I get a little lonely when the sun goes down, the sun gets low. I end up looking for somewhere to go. Yes, I should know better, but I can't say no. Oh, no, no, no. Oh, no, 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 no. So, Rafferty released a further 3 albums in the 80s, 2 more in the 90s, and then 1 in 2000, and his final album in 2009. A posthumous record was released in 2021, and none of them really matched the success of the 70s. Rafferty enjoyed alcohol from a young age, and early songs such as One Drink Down, Baker Street, and Night Owl freely mention the subject. According to Michael Gray, the singer's personal manager in the 1980s, it never occurred to me in all the time I knew him that he was heading for alcoholism. Maybe I should have realised, but I didn't. I'm unsure whether he did. As the 80s progressed, Rafferty's growing drinking problem placed his marriage under an impossible strain, and his wife divorced him in 1990, although they remained close. In the last decade of his life, having taken pains to shun the fame and celebrity that accompanied his musical achievements, Rafferty found himself making the headlines once again as he struggled with alcoholism and depression and the increasing erratic behaviour they spawned. While the news stories focused on Rafferty's binges, they revealed nothing of the impact on his family and his friends. According to Rafferty's ex-wife Carla, there was no hope. I would never have left him if there'd have been a glimmer of a chance of him recovering. In 2008, Rafferty moved away from California and briefly rented a room in Ireland, where his drinking soon became a problem again. Then the things started getting really strange. So in July that year, 2008, he flew to London, where he stayed in the five-star Westbury Hotel in Mayfair and began a 4-day drinking binge in which he extensively damaged his room. Speaking to the Independent newspaper later, the hotel's director commented, "It was such a shame. In person, Mr. Rafferty was a really nice man. He kept himself to himself and didn't bother the other guests, but he was clearly on a downward spiral. He was in self-destruct mode." There were conflicting reports about what happened next. The newspaper Scotland on Sunday reported that Rafferty had been asked to leave the hotel and then had checked himself into St. Thomas's Hospital, suffering from chronic liver condition brought on by the heavy drinking. The same report claimed that on the 1st of August 2008, Rafferty had disappeared, leaving his belongings behind, and that the hospital had filed a missing persons report. No such missing persons report existed. On the 17th of February 2009, The Guardian reported that Rafferty was in hiding in the south of England, being cared for by a friend. Subsequently, Rafferty's spokesperson, Paul Charles, told the Independent newspaper that he'd been in touch with Rafferty a fortnight previously and that he was alive and well but had no plans to either record or tour. This was contradicted by a report in the Daily Telegraph the following day, which quoted a statement his solicitors made to Channel 4 News. Contrary to reports, Gerry is extremely well and has been living in Tuscany for the last 6 months. He continues to compose and record new songs and music, and he hopes to release a new album of his most recent work in the summer of this year, 2009. The album, titled Life Goes On, was released in November 2009. So after leaving St. Thomas's Hospital and while claiming he was in Tuscany, he was moving from one hotel in London to another. During this time, he met Enzina Fischini, an Italian artist living in Dorset. Rafferty and Fischini rented a large home together in Upton, near Poole, that's on the south coast. Fischini said that she cared for the singer during 2009 and tried to help him overcome his alcoholism, and that he proposed to her at the Ritz Hotel in Paris on Christmas Eve that year. In November 2010, Rafferty was admitted to the Royal Bournemouth Hospital, where he was put on a life support machine and treated for multiple organ failure. After being taken off the life support, Rafferty rallied for a short time and the doctors thought he might recover, but he died of liver failure at the home of his daughter Martha in Stroud, Gloucestershire on the 4th of January 2011. He was 63.
Jesus.
It's worth noting, Rafferty drew a clear distinction between the artistic integrity of a musician on the one hand and the music industry to create, and the music industry's need to create celebrities and sell products on the other. In an interview in 1988, he said, "There's a thin line between being a songwriter and a singer and being a personality. If you feel uncomfortable with it, you shouldn't do it. It's not for me. There are too many inherent contradictions." And 2 decades later, speaking to the press after Rafferty's funeral, Charlie Reid of the Proclaimers confirmed Rafferty's dislike of celebrity. He quotes, "He was not entirely comfortable with fame. Even more so than most people who work in this business, he saw it as not a good thing." Reid believed Rafferty was fundamentally unsuited for the pressures of celebrity. In quotes, "He struck me as a very, very sensitive man, and for someone like that, fame was probably not appropriate." Billy Connolly agrees that Rafferty had different priorities. He said, "I wanted success and fame, and I got it to a degree. Gerry wanted respect. He wanted his talent to be respected. He wanted his songs to be respected, and he certainly got that." So there you go. Really interesting guy. And it's that thing about someone who has talent but how they get that talent out there and the price you can pay for it. Yeah, I really, you're right. His songs and his output can be described as middle of the road, classic rock, whatever you want to call it. It comes from a folk background, though, the roots of it. And you can tell, and there is this, the production values, you're right, makes it sound like it's that period, definitely, in the way his voice is treated and
Yes.
everything. But there is like a sadness to it. And Baker Street as well is a phenomenal song. I mean, I prefer, everyone bangs on about the saxophone solo, but I prefer the guitar solo in the second half of the song is fantastic. But there's a sadness to that song as well. And that's what was obviously pushing him along, that he was succeeding and he didn't really want to succeed.
Yeah, there's sort of this
problems.
this like
Weird.
it reminds me of like the monkey's paw, where
Yeah.
like you want to wish for something and you get it, but it comes with this thing that you didn't foresee or forecast, or maybe you had the hubris to think that you could somehow circumvent the interconnectivity of the respect that he wanted and earned. But you into the way the construct of society is and the definition of respect, fame when it comes through typically the arts, um, theater, film and music and all that is there. You can't remove the respect and the fame. Now, sometimes there are people that are like certain pop stars, for instance, that don't maybe have the most respect among all their peers in music, but still get
Yeah.
the popularity. It's hard to do the
Yeah.
other way. It's hard to
Yeah.
finagle the respect without the popularity and the fame. They sort of have to go hand in hand. And I don't think he was ever going to be able to remove that connective link, much
Yeah.
to his chagrin.
And see Kurt Cobain, same thing.
Yeah. And countless others, I'm sure, right? I mean, hell, we just did, to a far, far lesser extent, we just talked about Alt J and the bass player bailing early on because he was like, I was just about making music. And yeah, probably the respect of his peers and like, but the business side and the fame and all that is nothing he wanted. And yeah, that's, we're, as far as personalities and their oeuvre and what they've accomplished, very different things. But the sentiment still exists there, and I'm sure it does to varying degrees all over the cardiogram of rock stardom. So yeah, interesting stuff. It's wild how many people go into this not starry-eyed, but like they go into it honestly thinking I can do this and have some self-fulfillment and get my art out there, but thinking they could somehow avoid the paparazzi or the fame or the tabloids or the this and that. Ugh, good luck, because no one's done it yet. You know what I mean?
Not anymore. Not anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no control left, is there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, really interesting. And I have a real fondness for Gerry Rafferty stuff just because of that and the sound and the time
Yeah.
as well.
It's a really interesting narrative you just went through. So
Yeah.
I'm yeah, it means nothing to him posthumously, but I just gained more respect for him, which is what he sought just doing this episode and learning a bit more about the man himself. It's a shame that his last few years were spent the way they were, kind of watching it all fall apart around you.
Yeah. It's pretty much inevitable once the booze gets hold. If you can't kick it, it kicks you, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, we have some great songs to listen to anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that Steel as well as a banger as well. Brilliant. I should wrap things up. Thanks for listening to this, Andy. Appreciate it. Folks out there, please tell us what you think. If you like this, do hit the like button and drop some comments. We'd love to hear from you. Tell us what you think about this track. I think of all of his stuff, and I'm really familiar with the 70s Gerry Rafferty. This is my favorite song more than Baker Street. It is a great song as well. But yeah, and Down the Line and Get Right Next Time as well. But yeah, please tell us what you think. We'd love to hear from you. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. We really appreciate everybody to support the channel. So hop on board. Ding, ding. That being said, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see all of you on the next episode of the Audiophiles.
We'll see you later, guys.